easy one. That one. They're right there at the same booth. It's great. There you go.
I realize that we need some, like, what's it called when truckers have names on the radios?
Like sexy time names?
I guess. That's not what they're called, though. What is it called? Like
I'm gonna call
a handle.
I'm gonna call you Pot Pie.
Fine. I gotta call you something.
Good luck. I like Pot Pie though. I'm sticking
You
with
can say it. What is it?
Because it's like
small penis. Is that what you're gonna say?
Small penis Bandy.
That's too long. Wait, something short.
it is too long. That's why the name doesn't make sense.
All right.
End the recording. Here we go.
I'm Pot Pie, and you're
You
to be announced.
can figure it out. Yeah.
All right. What are we talking about? I've had a few.
Your car fuck ups. How you've messed up on cars.
Okay. Not just me.
I guess
all
jointly,
done it.
but this is 80-20, so.
Okay. Just car mess ups
Yeah.
throughout a car enthusiast's life. So the 350Z thing, when I had a 350Z.
When you bought it?
Yeah, and we took off the intake plenum.
Oh, buying it wasn't the mistake. Okay.
I mean, that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
So the 350Z has the two-piece plenum, and there's a gasket in between the plenum.
Usually how those things work, yeah.
And then there's a metal piece that goes on top of the gasket. So I don't know why. It was a long day. We did a lot of shit. My head wasn't in it. So I bolted the bottom plenum piece on, put the gasket on, and put the bolts directly on the gasket. When in fact the metal piece is supposed to go over the gasket as gaskets usually work.
Well, I mean, that sounds really dumb, right? But we've all, at one point in our life, woken up, put on jeans, and then put on underwear on top of our jeans, right?
I've never done that in my life.
Exactly, because it's fucking stupid. No one's done that shit ever.
I'm saying it was dumb.
Yeah, it's one of the dumbest things you could possibly
So
be
I was
working on a car.
tightening the bolts.
It's almost as bad as putting on a wheel backwards.
I was tightening the bolts, and like the bolt was kind of twisting the gasket because it was directly on it.
Yep.
And I was like, how the fuck do I do this? So I just loosened it a little bit. And then the worst part is I put the metal piece over the bolts, and I was like, how does this stay on here? Like, whatever. And I just put the top plenum over it, and it was just, I guess I just hope for the best or some shit.
So I remember that because...
And I drove the car like that.
A little, not very far.
Not very far.
Because it would not go very far. But I remember the next day, you're like, oh, this something, and you opened the hood, and I looked at it and said, you fucked up. This is wrong.
Well, no, yeah, because we messed up something else, so we ended up having to take that off again.
Yeah.
And we took it off, and you're like, that doesn't go there.
That's way wrong, man. You screwed that up. Yeah.
And I said, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Which at that point though, you hadn't done a ton on cars. I mean, not the internal workings of anything really.
No, that was very. I was still very new, so.
Yeah, I mean.
Not that I'm experienced now, but.
Right. I don't have a lot of mess ups in terms of. I owned a car and I was doing it, but when I was working at the shop, one time I was grinding a valve, and I don't know what I was doing. So when you grind a valve, there's a few different angles you grind it from. So you get the surface area good, and then you get the top of the stem. So
I usually try to grind it from every angle.
So that the little calipers don't get damaged and stuff, right? So it was holding, and then I guess I didn't tighten it enough or whatever, and it ground the stem. So I put this big ass stone going at 6,000 RPM or whatever into the stem of the valve, and it just demolished it. I mean, totally fucked it up, right? Sparks were flying everywhere. And the dangerous part is a lot of times when that happens and you mess up that bad on the grinder, you break the stone, and the stone's going 6,000 RPM and flies off and goes through people's skulls and stuff. That has happened.
Okay. When you were telling it, I was thinking like, oh, you messed up a valve. That's like $2, like whatever.
No, the big thing is the danger of it, right? So
yeah.
you basically, if you break that stone, because I hit it really quick. So what happens is you're supposed to, like, you have a knob and you're turning it back and forth, trying to kind of move the valve surface face where it actually meets the valve seat, right? So you're getting that smooth again. But if you go too far and go into the stone, you hit the stem. If you really fuck up, which I was 16, so I fucked up everything. So yeah, so that's the whole dangerous part. I ruined the stone and stuff. We had to get new stone.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a cheap thing. But my dad was trying to get the job out. It was some shitty Mitsubishi thing, and of course he doesn't have Mitsubishi valves in stock, right?
Probably not.
So he had to order them, and the job was late, and
I bet he was upset.
oh, dude, he was so mad. He was so mad. And grinding valves was kind of the bitch job, and he wouldn't let me do that for a little while. So I did not have a fun job for a good little while after that. But I mean, deservingly so. It did mess things up. Some guy needed his car back. I get it. But yeah, I've done stuff like that before. I've had little mess ups, not necessarily on cars, but just in general, I guess. I mean, working at the shop. Because I worked there as a kid, so obviously I didn't pay attention. One time I was welding some valve seats out. So you gotta, you put like a little TIG on them basically, and then hammer them out to get the valve seats out. And I was lighting a torch one time, and well, I guess this, because you kind of heat them up with a different torch and whatever. So I was lighting the torch, and it wouldn't light, and so I guess throughout the whole process, I kept getting closer and closer to my face, and I lit it because it's the spark thing, right? So it just lets off a little spark, and you squeeze it, and I squeezed it, but it goes like into this little cup, so the flame just came back in my face, and I just smelled burnt hair, and it burnt like all my little 15-year-old facial hairs off. It had my eyebrows were a little damaged, right? It was fringed and gross, and it was nasty. It was nasty.
So the rock story, also the 350Z. So the whole intake plenum was off. So it's basically just the whatever it's called into the actual cylinders was totally exposed.
Just the top of the block.
Yeah, it was totally exposed. So I put a little towel over the 6 holes. It was V6, so I put a little towel over it so nothing goes over it. And my girlfriend at the time was next to me for whatever reason, just hanging out while I was doing shit to the car. And she just wanted to mess with me, so she throws a little pebble at me, but completely misses, and the pebble goes right on the towel. And I was like, I don't even know what I would have done if a pebble would have went into the fucking cylinder.
Well, with that girlfriend, that's kind of what you're doing every time you slept with her, so.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. But I was like, yeah, I can't get it magnetized out. Like, I can't.
It's just lost in the big hole.
Yeah, it would have been just totally fucked. I was pretty upset.
Yeah, she was horrible.
This isn't an ex-girlfriend show.
Wow.
Although working on cars is kind of like having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then you sell her. That's your ex.
When you sell a car that's your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of bittersweet, I guess.
I look at every 350Z silver, and I look at the rims hoping that's that old car. I'm like, it's alive.
Yeah, you get like kind of butterflies in your stomach when you've seen a car like yours that you sold before, and you're like, oh, is that it? And then it's not, and you're kind of relieved but kind of disappointed at the same time. It is like an ex.
I mean, they're fine and all that, but yeah, I'd love to see it on the road in the wild. That'd be great.
But the Z, I feel like I'd look at the owner and be like, you dumb bitch.
It's fine now.
Just like if I saw a guy walking with that ex-girlfriend of yours, I'd be like, you dumb bitch. What are you doing?
You don't know what you have.
I mean, she probably has a girlfriend now, though.
It's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. So I what was I don't think we've had any huge other than that whole fiasco. The Z had a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with that thing.
It all got fixed eventually, not by you, but
Not by me. There's definitely a time where you gotta throw in the towel. I'll give it to someone who knows what they're doing.
yeah. Which for you is a lot.
It's every fucking time, man. I swear. So we did the cats one time on it,
Yeah.
and it was my only car at the time. So I took the cats out and realized I needed like a bigger socket or whatever. I didn't have it, so I had to walk to the store. I did that like 3 times, so it ended up being like 6 hours or something like that because the store wasn't super close. And then I finally do it after all that time, and then we drove it, and there was that rattling noise because I forgot to tighten bolts or something. I mean,
Well, it wasn't even that. We took the bolts out and it was a lot better, but the actual cat touched the bottom of the car.
that too, which I mean, that's not me. That's just for some reason they measured
that was
it
kind of
wrong
weird.
or
But it only
something.
happened when it got hot. So I guess the metal kind of expanded and it got hot, and then the cats would get hot and they would touch the bottom of the car and vibrate and make a really weird noise.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like something was gonna fall off the bottom. But
I don't think I could ever buy one of those ever again. Even if I was a millionaire, like
yeah,
I would gladly like, hey man, you want to take a test drive in my Z? I'm proud of it. It's cool. Sure, but
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know.
deal with that shit.
So
Again,
I think,
like you said, compared to a girlfriend.
dude. So I had to change.
Girlfriends?
So I remember like the first time I ever really worked on anything is I had that 91 F-150, right?
91?
91. Not a 91, a 91.
A 9-1?
91. You can't say it all pronounced.
But it is a car built
It was
in
made in
1991.
1991,
Okay,
yes.
all right. I'm
But
tracking.
you're saying it wrong.
You're pretentious. Go ahead.
Anyway, no, it's not even pretentious. You gotta give 91
I had a
F-150.
9-1.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, I had to change the distributor because the fucking distributor went out because it was old as shit, right? Which, have you ever changed a distributor or even touched a distributor?
No, I would not know what to do.
No, it's the whole, because do you know what they did back in the day? They timed the engine and stuff. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they were the timing piece. So I was pretty terrified, right? And I changed it, and I got one because I couldn't really find one, so I got one from a junkyard, and it didn't work either.
That sounds bad, yeah.
So the second one from the junkyard was great, actually.
If
But-
you like take a distributor out and replace it, is that all you have to do, or do you have to?
Well, you kind of have to make sure it's timed right still. You got to make sure everything kind of lines up with what it needs to be, and then drop it in. So it's not that bad. It was just I was 16, and it seemed like a big deal, right? And then it was fine. My dad helped me after I messed it up. But he had this thing where he'd be like, oh, figure it out. It's like, I guess, but, And then again, so I had to change the rotors. And not on that truck, but my next truck. I had to change the rotors on it. And they're pretty bad. And he was just, I took it to the shop. He's like, oh, just figure it out. And I remember thinking, like, I could die if I fuck this up, right? Like, he just doesn't care about my health. He doesn't care if I die. But not that it's hard or anything. But
that is pretty bad. Like, hey, I need to change my brakes for the first time. Figure it out.
yeah, not even brakes, but fucking rotors. Like, everything was coming off. And I remember thinking, like, man, he just doesn't care about me. He just wants me to die. Because I was doing it, but I definitely had questions. Like, hey, and I was finding, my dad was working in the shop that day, but he was not. He was busy. So I went over to Craig, like, hey,
What year was this?
the truck?
No, this event was happening.
I was like 18 or 19.
So like 2015.
Probably like 2014.
I mean, where I'm going with this, did you have like YouTube on your phone to flip out? And
Yes, I
Okay.
100% did.
that's
right?
helpful.
I did. But I mean, I didn't at the time I just didn't really do that. It wasn't I don't know, I just didn't really think about it, I guess. I mean, and you get into it and you're like, I can do this, and then you get kind of dirty and stuff, and you don't want to touch your phone, and
Yeah.
it was like a little bit of a pride thing too. But
That's how they get you all the time.
it is, yeah. I mean, I don't feel that way anymore, but of course, with my dad though, I always felt like, oh, I gotta do this to impress my dad, like.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of that too, but
Also, did I ever tell you about the Isuzu Impulse that I had?
you did, because everyone in high school's like, oh, is that an impulse buy?
Yeah. I don't know why that was. Every single person that found out I had that was their go-to joke. I was like,
Well, it's kind of like when people make jokes of you being short.
yeah, like you can do better.
You could, but
Anyway, did I show you what an Isuzu Impulse looks like?
yeah.
Kind of dated, but like they look cool. But so it
But it's in a Zuzu, so.
it is an Isuzu. Good God,
Have
That
you
was-
seen one, Marks?
that was when I was
That's the first thing. Pull that up. Pull that shit up.
that was when I was super poor too. So like, if anything wrong happened to my car, I was walking to work, and it happened
Yeah.
all the time. But so it stopped. No, it's not a bicycle.
No, that's a scooter,
You typed in Isuzu Impulse.
and it brought up a scooter.
I guess try car.
Intuitive.
So it just. Yeah, there you go. I had the red one. You don't like it, dude? It was cool.
It looks like one of the Hot Wheels I had that I just didn't give a shit about and threw off ramps.
First off, it was $500. Let me start there. Okay. And it was a I think it was an inline 4. And it had a turbo. It legitimately got up to some speed. It was fun
For a $500 car.
for a $500 car. But it stopped working one day, and this was when I didn't know shit about
That's super weird.
I didn't know shit about cars. For whatever reason, I got it into my head that it was I'm totally drawing a blank. Connects to the spark plugs. Coil.
Are the coilovers?
Not coilovers.
You said coil.
Coils? Margaret, what connects to spark plugs? Just Google it. Just what connect. I feel so bad. I should really know this.
Yeah, you should. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Anywho, I thought it was those. So I go to replace those, and you have to. I took it off, and I'm taking out the.
Let's just say it.
What is it?
No.
Coil packs.
No.
It's definitely something coils. Anyway,
It's the cord. Say like what cord connects the spark plug.
I'm taking out the. You take it off the spark plug, and then you go to take out the spark plugs. I put the socket in, and I take it back out, and the socket's just covered in oil, and I'm like, that's weird. And I go to take out the spark plug. In hindsight now, there was probably an inch of fucking oil in that little well that I just let right into the engine when I took out the spark plug. And that's probably why I didn't